President Buhari speaks on calls for unconditional release of the proscribed IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, currently standing trial.
Nigeria will surpass the United States as the third most populous country in the world.
U.S. Secretary of State says Nigeria has brighter future as presidency hails Biden's administration for removing Nigeria from religious violation watch list.
The government remains conscious of its responsibility to safeguard the health of our people.
Plus, no compromise over safety of COVID-19 vaccines as mass vaccination campaign kicks off. Hello, this is NTA Network News reaching you live in Abuja. I am Jumai Yusuf. Adiola Kami Akere joins us from Lagos, and Mohammed Ibrahim is in our Maiduguri studio. Thanks so much for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has formally broken his silence on demands in some quarters for unconditional release of the proscribed IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, currently standing trial, saying doing so runs contrary to the doctrine of separation of powers between the executive and the judiciary. This was while receiving a group under the auspices of highly respected Igbo leaders, led by the First Republic parliamentarian and Minister of Aviation, Chief Mbazulike Amechi. State House correspondent Adam Osombo tells us more.
The 93-year-old statesman, Chief Mbazulike Amechi, had described the situation in the southeast as painful and pathetic, lamenting that businesses have collapsed, education is crumbling, and there is fear everywhere. During the closed-door engagement, Chief Amechi pleaded for a political rather than military solution, requesting that if Nnamdi Kanu is released to him as the only First Republic minister still alive, he would no longer say the things he had been saying, stressing that he could control him. The Nigerian said twice he had interfaced with Nnamdi Kanu in the past, and the latter rescinded orders earlier given on civil disobedience. He concluded that he doesn't want to leave this planet without peace, returning to his country, maintaining that he believes in one big, united Nigeria, a force in Africa. Chief Amechi told President Buhari that he wants him to be remembered as a person who saw Nigeria burning and quenched the fire. President Muhammadu Buhari told his guests that they have made an extremely difficult demand on him as leader of the country. The implication of their request, he said, is very serious. The president takes pride in the fact that since coming to power in the last 6 years, nobody would say he had confronted or interfered in the work of the judiciary. He told the leader of the highly respected Igbo greats that God has not only spared and given him a clear head at this age, but also very sharp memory, saying a lot of people half his age are confused already. The demand made, President Buhari said, is heavy, concluding, however, that he would consider it. The president said when Nnamdi Kanu jumped bail, got arrested, and brought back to the country, his position remains he be subjected to the system to make his case in court instead of giving very negative impressions of the country from outside. The president feels it's even a favor to give him that opportunity. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the presidency has formally reacted to the removal of Nigeria from the religious violators watch list by President Biden in the run-up to the visit of Secretary of State Antony Blinken, calling it a triumph of diplomacy and sagacity over hate-driven foreign policy, itself founded on false propaganda. The report.
In an article written by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, President Muhammadu Buhari and the Nigerian people are satisfied with the U.S. decision to remove Nigeria from that unwanted list of countries, with U.S. Secretary of State Blinken saying the decision of the Joe Biden government is, quote, based on facts. In expressing the country's appreciation for this, the president notes that there is freedom of worship in Nigeria and no one is discriminated against on the basis of his or her religion. The article explains Nigeria should never have been on the list and calls the ban sad and uncalled for and based on 12 months of lies by some extremist groups, including the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, which funded right-wing lobbyists in the US to spread falsehood and misinformation about Nigeria. Those who willingly took money from terrorists spread falsehood against a democratically elected government. They took advantage of well-meaning, God-fearing Americans to whom they spread lies. Their aim was to drive a wedge for political advantage between the two great religions, and by doing so, make true their fake claims that Muslims and Christians cannot live side by side in love and peace. Yet, it has taken only 11 months for this decision to be reversed under the Biden administration. It is a fallacy to suggest Nigeria lacks religious freedom. It is one of the most religious nations in the world, near equally balanced between Muslims and Christians. A visit to any city will show many posters for religious groups, for Muslims and Christians alike. It is well known that the president counts amongst his personal friends many global Christian leaders, though himself a Muslim. The vice president is an evangelical pastor. The cabinet is equally balanced between Christians and Muslims. This is not to say there are no tensions. The president and all who serve in his administration know there are, and they are being addressed. For instance, the present administration is the only government since independence to introduce a plan to address farmer-herder clashes. The loss of lives from communal and intercommunal violence, banditry, and terrorism are of great concern to the administration, which successfully dispossessed terrorists in the northeast of all land and territory. With this listing removed, U.S.-Nigeria relations can now be reset and can jointly seek to resolve other critical matters, including the fight against terrorists across the Sahel region.
In another development, the United States says it has a belief that Africa will shape the future of the world with enormous potentialities endowed in the country in partnership with global economic players. United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken said this while speaking at the ECOWAS Secretariat in Abuja. Foreign Desk correspondent Usman Aliu reports.
The United States doesn't want to limit your partnerships with other countries. We want to make your partnerships with us even stronger. We don't want to make you choose. We want to give you choices.
That is the new thinking of America under the Biden's administration about Africa and Nigeria, which is seen as a new development force that should not be ignored and has to be emphasized in America's foreign policy.
This is a continent of young people, energized, innovative, hungry for jobs and opportunity. By 2025, more than half the population of Africa will be under age 25. By the year 2050, 1 in 4 people on Earth will be African. And Nigeria will surpass the United States as the 3rd most populous country in the world.
But that is if Nigeria and Africa hold on to the development aspirations, focusing on new energy from the youth, the green economy, sustainable democracy and good governance, as explained by Secretary Blinken.
We need to show how democracies can deliver what citizens want, quickly and effectively. When we fail to do that, people lose their trust in the democratic model. And that fuels the arguments that authoritarian governments make, that their system is better.
And for the global health security, the United States says so far it has offered 50 million doses to 43 African countries and is supporting equality in supplies and production of the vaccines in the continent.
Increasing vaccine production in Africa makes it easier to distribute them, which saves lives.
America also believes that the global community must step up responses to the climate crisis to contain catastrophes such as drought and desertification causing food shortage in sub-Saharan Africa. Usman Aliyu, NTA News.
To other matters now, Dr. Paul Adeliku has emerged as the new Secretary General of the Maritime Organization of West and Central Africa. He was elected in the just concluded election during the ordinary session of the General Assembly of the organization in Accra, Ghana, where he pledged to keep the terms and work for the revival of the organization. The Minister of State for Transportation, Senator Gbemishola Rukaya Saraki, who led the Nigerian delegation, acknowledged the solidarity of the West African countries and say a complete re-engineering of the maritime domain within West and Central Africa is expected with the emergence of Dr. Adeliku, especially with the devastation COVID-19 has caused. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has made a case for UNESCO to support Nigeria in its war against the growing menace of fake news and misinformation. The minister made the request at a meeting with the Deputy Director General for Communication and Information, Taufik Jalasi. Anthony Fosun reports.
It was a meeting on the sidelines of the ongoing 41st session of UNESCO General Conference, where Nigeria's permanent representative to UNESCO, Dr. Hajusani, accompanied the Information and Culture Minister to the meeting with the Assistant Director General for Communication and Information, Taufik Jalasi. For both men, the media space in this contemporary era need reforms as it threatens global peace.
We have an extremely free society. We have an extremely tolerant, administration. And I have said it several times that on the contrary, it is the government that is at the mercy of the media in Nigeria. I know for a fact that there are at least 145 online publications today that are devoted solely and exclusively to harassing the federal government on a daily basis.
On what Nigeria is doing to contain the situation, in his words, twin evil, he explained this way.
I saw this new invasion of fake news and disinformation as more lethal and more dangerous than even terrorism. Especially when you are dealing with a country like Nigeria, where the naysayers, I'll say this, have succeeded in actually looking at every issue from the religious or the ethnic perspective. I'm saying this for you to please understand that UNESCO needs to help government.
Taufik Jalasi said Nigeria is a country with a rich media profile and will get all the support from UNESCO. Nigeria will be hosting next year's Global Media and Information Literacy Week.
I think we have to prepare ourselves for, I would say, either hybrids or in presential. Because, of course, your teams are on the ground. So at least you can have national representation with UNESCO team. That's the minimum, I would say. If the situation allows foreign delegations to come to Nigeria and participate, that's for the better, of course. So I think that's the issue of what format, what mode. It's a week, so it's a 5-day event, with each day having guest lectures, panel discussions, keynote addresses, both from representatives of the political sphere and the public sphere, but as well as academia, civil society,
in Paris,
NGOs.
France, Anthony Fosun, NTA News.
A state-of-the-art facility fire center to keep firefighters at alert has been unveiled in the State House in furtherance of efforts at safeguarding national assets and ensuring rapid response during emergencies at the seat of power and beyond. The Permanent Secretary of the State House, Tijani Umar, and the Controller General, Federal Fire Service, Liman Ibrahim, performed the ceremony. The Permanent Secretary described the ICT-based fire alert facility already installed in 13 states of the Federation as a huge plus in service delivery to the people under the Buhari administration.
What this does immediately is to give every person around this area the opportunity to use any device to report a fire incident to safeguard lives, safeguard property, and to safeguard national assets. This is also one hallmark that this administration has actually invested in the Federal Fire Service, and the dividends are just being reaped now.
Comptroller General Federal Fire Service Liman Ibrahim explained that the platform was designed by the service to ensure rapid response to emergencies as first responders. He explained that the communication gadget has provision for an application that can be installed on Android phones by subscribers, which can be used to initiate distress calls to the fire service.
Whatever innovation that we are doing in the Federal Fire Service, the village should have a taste of it, and that's why we are installing this. This one here now, as the Permanent Secretary say, is to cover the 3-arm zone here. And not only 3-arm zone, a call can come from Lagos, from Maiduguri. It's a central control system. And when it comes, we will now dispatch the nearest fire station to where the call is coming from. So the essence of this is just to improve our response time.
The Federal Fire Service has recorded massive transformation under the federal government from 3 rickety fire trucks and 600 staff to an improved service with 114 modern fire trucks, more than 6,000 staff with widespread reach across the country. A federal high court in Abuja has dismissed a suit instituted against the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, on the monitoring of spending of the $300 million recovered from the late former head of state, General Sani Abacha. Justice Inyang Eko, while delivering judgment in the suit, held that all public documents tendered by the plaintiffs were worthless because they contravened sections of the Evidence Act 2011. Justice Eko held that the plaintiffs failed to certify the public documents as required by law and therefore inadmissible in law. The suit was instituted by PPP Advisories, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, and One Isa Shoaib. You're watching NTA Network News. We'll take our first break. When we return, more reports. Don't go away. Thanks for rejoining us. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, Senate, Senator Babajide Omowarare, says the National Assembly has dismissed the Electoral Bill 2021 to the President for assent. A statement by the Special Assistant explains that this is in pursuance of Section 58, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and the Authentication Act 2004. The federal government is not compromising the safety as well as standards of COVID-19 vaccines and will continue to keep adopting measures geared towards protecting citizens and stopping the spread of the virus. Secretary to Government of the Federation and Chairman, Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, said these are the national flag of the COVID-19 mass vaccination campaign in Abuja. Olushe Adebo has a report.
More than 6 million Nigerians have so far been vaccinated with the first dose of COVID-19 vaccines, but that is put at just 5.6% of the country's entire population, a data still far from the set target of vaccinating at least 50% of the country's population by the end of January 2022. This national COVID-19 mass vaccination campaign is the latest drive of the federal government for deployment of vaccines to control the virus.
It is important to mention that through this mass COVID vaccination campaign initiative, arrangements have been made to ease all known bottlenecks to access, because the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency has expanded vaccination sites. This vaccination is free because government remains conscious of its responsibility to safeguard the health of our people.
Our aim is to have vaccinated 55 million residents of Nigeria by the end of January 2022, which is about 50% of our target population.
I came to the Federal Secretariat today and I saw a flag off banner of the COVID-19 vaccination. So that was why I came in to partake in it.
Between now and the first quarter of 2022, we have been able to secure up to 100 million doses of the vaccines. But even beyond what has been committed, we are also aware that additional donations are coming.
The advice is that Nigerians who are yet to receive the COVID-19 vaccine should register to get protected and protect others around them. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
As part of its corporate social responsibility to support efficiency and make the Nigerian police more vibrant, the Asar Foundation, initiated by business mogul and philanthropist Abdul Samad Rabiu, has handed over a reference hospital worth 4 billion naira in Abuja. Abdullah Musa Suleja reports.
Abdul Samad Rabiu, an industrialist, founder and chairman of Boa Group and Abdul Samad Africa Initiative ASR Africa, has been supporting public organizations as well as helping the needy across and beyond Nigeria. The idea of his social intervention is to make life easier for the good of humanity. That is how the 150-bed capacity reference hospital was built completely under the initiative of Abdul Samad Rabiu ASR Africa.
This hospital is consisting of huge, almost all multidisciplinary departments and units of the tertiary hospital setting. It has 8 general wards, 20 private rooms, 1 intensive care unit.
As Abdul Samad Rabiu Initiative for Africa is a $100 million fund for renewal and social development. And it's a brainchild of Alhaji Abdul Samad Rabiu.
I have received many interventions in different capacities, either as DPO or as area commander or as commissioner of police or as AIG. But I have not remembered, or I can't remember, receiving the one that touched my heart like this one. So we have the challenge of maintaining the status of this hospital as a reference hospital.
And from the time that I know Abdul Samad Ishaq Rabiu as a fellow roommate and a student, that is 40 years ago, he has always been giving. He has always been assisted.
The Abdul Samad Africa Initiative ASR Africa, launched in March this year, has so far spent 19 billion naira on its education and health interventions program. Abdullah Musa Suleja, NTA News.
The Nigerian government is wooing the private sector to invest in toilet and sanitation business in the country. This was at one of the biggest collaborative events between government and the private sector to commemorate 2021 World Toilet Day in Abuja. Salwa Khalil Ibrahim has details.
Open defecation is one of the major public health challenges in the country.
The effects are either on an individual or the community.
Available statistics from UNICEF shows that this year alone, over 3,000 people have died from cholera due to poor sanitation practice. Nigeria has set a target of 2025 to end open defecation, and as such, the federal government declared state of emergency in water, sanitation and hygiene. And so, development partners say it is time to walk the talk on ending open defecation in Nigeria.
Sanitation, like I said, is everybody's business, and it can also be a business. Investment in sanitation yields 5-fold return on investment. We are going to improve and increase our surveillance system. We are also going to start naming and shaming.
With the theme, valuing toilets, good hygiene practice and sanitation is said to be critical in addressing open defecation and other diseases.
Let's make Nigeria safe for our children, and let's make Nigeria open defecation free.
Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
The International Police Organization, Interpol, provides member countries with direct access to a wide range of criminal databases containing millions of records of fingerprints, DNA, stolen vehicles, as well as lost travel documents. Francis Form in this report takes a look at how the system works in tackling transborder crimes, terrorism, banditry, and other criminal activities.
This two-story building houses the Interpol office at the force headquarters in Abuja.
Criminal data is collected and stored into these systems.
A convergence of men and machines taking charge of the complicated system of operations. The Interpol communication platform, known as I-247, is a secured internet-based communication system that links the 194 member countries with the server sited at the Interpol General Secretariat.
And the essence of the linking of the 194 member countries is so that the police agencies and other law enforcement agencies connected through the I-247 can share intelligence securely with one another about criminals.
The I-247 is not just limited to the National Central Bureau, but also used by other law enforcement agencies, and it is currently in the process of extending its activities to the NFIU, NIMASA, Nigerian Navy, and other collaborating agencies.
We also have active terrorist fighters that are based. We have stolen travel documents that are based. So we have 18 of them. In fact, we have just added one now, making it 19.
On the judicial aspect, there is also the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty, which the Federal Ministry of Justice and the Central Authority Unit at the force headquarters coordinate together with other jurisdictions. The invention of I-247 technology is no doubt yielding the desired results, with recent arrest of some international fraudsters. Francis from NTA News.
The imperatives for collaborative and intensified strategic defense for the nation's sovereignty was the crux of the Royal Council of the Benin monarch, Oba Uare II, when he received the Chief of Defense Staff in his palace. Goodluck Enani has details.
The Benin monarch congratulated the CDS in his appointment, prayed for him to succeed in office, and thanked him for his deeming it fitting to visit the palace. The Oba of Benin urged the Nigerian armed forces not to rest in their commitment to defend the nation's sovereignty.
The loyalty is unprecedented, is surpassed, and I continue to encourage the community to remain loyal to the democratic institutions, protect it as much as possible.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Loki Rabo, told the Benin monarch that he was on operational visit to military formations in the state to convey Mr. President's goodwill message to officers and men of the armed forces.
Felt that it was also necessary to reach out to the governor and to the good people of the new state to thank them for the support they've given to members of the armed forces. They only crave for more.
The army chief charged all citizens to be conscious of their environment, stressing that security is everybody's business, and demanded all to be vigilant at all times. In Benin, Goodluck Enani, NTA News.
As part of efforts to strengthen interagency relations, the Federal Road Safety Corps is partnering the Nigerian Army to enhance the training of its personnel across the country. The FRSC Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi, who stated this while on a working visit to the Nigerian Army headquarters in Abuja, said the Corps, with formations in different parts of the country, will support the Nigerian Army with intelligence report.
Today, our personnel are in Kotangora. We have about 600 there, and they are doing well. And just about a few months ago, we received approval of the NUC to upgrade our academy to a degree awarding.
For us in the Army, we are always willing and ready to support all other agencies, particularly in our own line of march. I'm talking about security now that we are also engaged in the area of civil authority in the country.
If you recall, the FRSC emanated from the Nigerian Army more than 30 years ago. Adiola is in our Lagos studio with more reports on NTA Network News. Hello, Adiola.
Hello, Jumai. Respiratory viruses, pulmonary experts say, are prevalent in this pandemic era. Therefore, there is the need to scale up research to improve understanding of case management of outbreaks. The relentless pandemic and its accompanying challenges in the country places stakeholders on the alert. Pulmonary disease, which affects the lungs and other parts of the respiratory system, is mostly caused by tobacco smoking and other forms of air pollution. This informed the theme of this hybrid conference, as respiratory disease constitutes an important proportion of the global health burden.
This pandemic is affecting patient care, it's affecting the practice of medicine, affecting in particular the practice of respiratory medicine.
And we need to position ourselves in a way that we will be supportive of all the efforts of the government, at bringing, limiting the transmission.
Minister of Health State, represented, said in these unprecedented times, there must be no compromise in the management of patients with acute respiratory illness who require collaborative and multidisciplinary approach.
Nigeria is currently among the 22 countries in the world with the highest TB burden.
Dr. Chikwe Ihekwazu, Assistant Director General World Health Organization, virtually comments on preparing for the next pandemic, the patient, the practice.
The assumption is that respiratory viruses will play a big role in this, and we have to think through how that can be done. However, there are things and challenges that we now know that we have to really focus on.
Pulmonary disease experts also stated that increasing awareness on the impact of environmental pollution should be the responsibility of all. Budding football talents in Nigeria now have more opportunities as Budweiser, a brand of International Breweries PLC, partners Nigerian Professional Football League. Samuel Johnson reports that two football icons, John Terry and Roberto Carlos, are playing a selected side in Lagos this weekend.
Promoting the development of football and nurturing talents to stardom informed the exhibition match, which will feature former Chelsea captain John Terry and La Liga playmaker Roberto Carlos, leading other players on the Nigerian soil. The match, scheduled for the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, Onikan, Lagos, is organized to encourage players in the Nigerian Professional League and open more opportunities for them.
I was impressed with the team, and what I liked about the team was everyone was encouraging each other today. And like I said, it's fun, it's exciting. We've got a couple of star players. I heard the coach say he's keeping his hands close to his chest, and so we're going to keep things quiet. I'm not going to give too much away, but we're ready tomorrow, that's for sure.
The boys are also aware that the game is going live, not just in Nigeria, across the world. So they have to put in their best because it's another platform for them to showcase what they could do, their talents and everything. So both ways is winning for everybody.
The sponsors of the match, International Breweries, says the focus is promoting the game of kings through the kingmaker, Budweiser.
We believe that there's a lot of talent in Nigeria, while we do lots of big things globally by sponsoring leagues like La Liga, like EPL, even the World Cup. We also really want to put a spotlight on Nigerian talents, which is in excess, by the way. So we can't wait for the world to see our talent tomorrow, sharing the global stage with the best of footballers from the world.
Former Super Eagles player Mutiu Adepoju and goalkeeper Vincent Ezenwa said the partnership would boost football activities in the country.
I'm happy that this is happening, and they are having events with NPFL.
It's a way of encouraging the young ones, just like what we had, the training section we had this morning in Onika. I think everybody was happy mixing up with them, trying to know that in future they're going to be like them.
The exhibition match is slated for 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon. In Lagos, Samuel Johnson, NTA News.
And from Lagos, we head to Maiduguri, where Mohammed has the next set of reports, but that will be after the break. To stay with us.
Welcome to Maiduguri on Network News. Towards enhancing security in its effort of restoring civil authority in Malam Fatori, the headquarters of Abadan local government area on the shores of Lake Chad, Borno State government has taken delivery of some armored personnel carriers out of the 9 ordered for the State Police Command. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum inspected the armored personnel carriers at the Government House Maiduguri. Mohammed Goni reports.
Malam Fatori, which came under Boko Haram occupation in 2014, is the headquarters of Abadan local government area in northern Borno and has a number of communities sharing borders with the Nigerian Republic. Insurgents controlled the place for about 6 years before the military liberated, but so far without civilian population. Governor Zulum inspected first batch of 3 APCs, with more expected to arrive at the state capital at a later time. He carried out the inspection in company of Borno's Commissioner of Police, Abdu Umar. The governor had, while assessing the APCs, explained that while the Borno state government procured the 9 armored vehicles, the Inspector General of Police approved installation of the arms and ammunition on them, since the state government has no constitutional power to acquire such arms. He expressed optimism that the APCs will enhance operations of a special police unit towards restoring civil authorities in Malam Fatori and complement the Nigerian military. The governor had last month led residents and government officials to embark on clearance of Malam Fatori to pave the way for the reconstruction of public facilities and private homes towards safe and voluntary resettlement of residents who had fled to Niger Republic since 2014. Professor Zulum's administration has in the last 2 years distributed about 1,000 surveillance vehicles to the military and other security forces, as well as volunteers in Borno's ongoing peace-building efforts. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
1,800 youths, including internally displaced persons from Borno Central Senatorial District, have benefited from post-insurgency recovery empowerment program tagged Fish Meal Processing. The training, geared towards complementing efforts of Borno State government in empowering women and youths, was sponsored by former Borno State Governor Senator Kashim Shettima. Yang Musubukar reports.
Considering the damaging effect of insurgency in Borno, leading to loss of livelihood of communities, especially youths who have become idle and succumbed to drug abuse and criminality, came the capacity building program to revive commercial fish production. Senator representing Borno Central Senatorial District, Kashim Shettima, decided to engage over 1,000 youths and women from 8 local government areas in fish meal processing to support Governor Zulum's effort in improving the fortunes of people affected by insurgency.
We know how to process this fish meal and how to do even the business.
Intensive training, Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Zulum lauded the initiative of the senator for the empowerment tools and cash assistance.
Calling upon our representatives to emulate
Other stakeholders implored the participants to make best use of the opportunity to generate income and be self-reliant. Starter packs and cash support were given to the beneficiaries to enable them establish businesses for self-reliance. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
Those are the stories from Maiduguri. It's time for another break, after which Network News continues in Abuja.
You're welcome back. Strategic management is critical to sustainable development of the Niger Delta region. The interim administrator of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Dr. Effiom Okwa, said that this at the annual mandatory membership revalidation workshop of the Institute of Strategic Management, Nigeria, River State Chapter. Osinachi Abraham reports.
The interim administrator, Effiom Okwa, represented by the Director Corporate Affairs, Dr. Ibitoye Abosede, said training and retraining of the Commission's workforce is important to the management of the NDDC, hence the partnership between the Institute of Strategic Management, Nigeria, and the Commission.
As champions and managers of change, there's no doubt that, of course, the training with which we are being equipped with here today will go a long way in our various workplaces to at least put us in a competitive world as regards our workplaces and how it affects what we do. And NDDC, as a dynamic organization, we are not static, and because of the anticipated changes which we are looking forward to, this training will definitely put our staff in a very good stead.
Chairman River State Chapter of the Institute, Davis Okarevu, commended the Akwa-led interim administration for its commitment to the upliftment of the institute.
The interim administrator of NDDC has made it clear that he is for capacity building and enhancement of the staff for better delivery for Nigerian Delta people. And he has manifested it in the kind of approval that he has given for trainings of the staff. This is one of such training.
According to resource persons, strategic change leader must set destination, align forces, and mobilize stakeholders to achieve transformed organizations that are able to bring about sustainable development. In Port Harcourt, Osinachi Abraham, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari sends warm greetings to the chairman of All Progressives Congress Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, Mai Mala Buni, on his 51st birthday. The president commends the party chieftain for providing exceptional and visionary leadership at the state and national levels, noting in particular the role played by the chairman, who is also the governor of Yobe State, in successfully repositioning the party with remarkable evidence in increased membership, healthy social atmosphere, and exemplary internal democracy. The president extols the political leader for inspiring hope in the young and old for a greater and better future for Nigeria by embarking on historic reconciliation and restitution drive that has strengthened the governing party and positioned it for victories, starting with the successful ward, local, and state conventions and build-up to a national convention. President Muhammadu Buhari has condoled Emir of Kazaure and family of late Ahmad Adamu Dan Iyan Kazaure, who passed on this Friday. Late Dan Iya Kazaure was a member of the Kazaure Emirate Council in Jigawa State and served in the veterinary division of the Old Northern Region, among other key positions he held. In a statement addressed to the Emir of Kazaure, Najib Hussein Adamu and Suleiman Adamu, Minister of Water Resources, both of them cousins of the deceased, President Buhari described the late Dan Iya as a man noted for his frank and fearless views. Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umara Zulum has led a delegation on condolence visit to the bereaved family of late Brigadier General Zarma Zirkushu at the Ribadu cantonment in Kaduna. Mohammed Goni reports.
Governor Zulum, who met Mrs. Blessing Zirkushu, widow of the late general, and her 5 children after being received, consoled the family members and urged them to take solace in the heroic legacy bequeathed to them by the late general. The governor said the people of Borno will remain eternally grateful for the sacrifices of the late general and other soldiers who died with him. The governor directed immediate release of 20 million naira as support to the general's family. And the authority said support will also be made to families of soldiers who died along with the general.
Mr. Therma is a committed army officer, very dedicated.
Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Kaduna State, had also announced the donation of another 20 million naira to the bereaved family. To complement Borno, Garrison Commander Brigadier General T.Y. Ofune, who spoke on behalf of the family and the Nigerian Army, appreciated the governor and his delegation for traveling from Maiduguri to visit the family. He described Governor Zulum as a compassionate leader whose support for the military is known to everyone. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
And that's Network News. But before we go, don't forget to join NTA in the fight against rape and rapists. I am Juma Yusuf.